Today, as we continue our conversations on football and race in America, our Steve Wyche and Jim Trotter are joined by two starring alums from HBCUs, the Bears' Tarik Cohen and Darius Leonard, a linebacker from the Indianapolis Colts. Here now is part one of that conversation.
Well, Darius, I want to start with you. I mean, if you were offered at a Clemson or a Georgia, South Carolina, whatever, how hard would it have been for you to bypass those schools and say, no, I'm going to go to South Carolina State? And Tarik, I'd like for you to follow.
Me, honestly, man, I grew up a Clemson fan because that's where my brother went. And I didn't know the tradition of a HBCU. So, you know, in my eyes, that's all I knew was Clemson, PWIs, because my brother was the first to go off to college. So once he went to Clemson, I wanted to follow in his footsteps. But, now that I graduated from HBCU and, I know the tradition of it, if I could go back in time and Clemson offered me, I would still choose South Carolina State, because at South Carolina State, man, you gotta be a dog. Like, I feel like at a PWI, a lot of stuff, like, it's right there on the table for you. At a HBCU, you got to grind for everything. We don't have the facilities. We don't have the nutritionists or anything like that. So you really got to dig deep. You really got to put football to your top priority if that's what you want to do. That's what you want to make it out. And at other schools, you really don't. You really can just, they got everything marked out on a plan, on a schedule. This is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to do to be great. But at a HBCU, it teaches you how to grow up quick. It teaches you how to put what you want to do, what you want to be in life at the first of your story. So choosing a PWI of an HBCU, I'll definitely go to an HBCU just because I got everything out of the mud, and South Carolina State continues to show me that if I want it, I'm going to have to go work and nothing will be handed to me.
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, coming out of high school, my favorite player always has been Reggie Bush. So all I knew coming out of high school was like, I want to go to USC. You feel me? I want to play against Texas, in the Rose Bowl. So I was just thinking, like Darius said, PWI. But what I didn't know was like the legacy and the history that majority of the players in the Hall of Fame were coming from HBCUs. So if I would have knew players like Walter Payton, Jerry Rice, and all of them was coming from HBCUs, then more people, I feel like me and along with more people would want to go to those schools because, that's where the great guys went. And I feel like everybody wants to follow their role models. So if we just, keep spreading that we went to A&T, the kids who like us and who are our biggest fans, they would want to follow in our footsteps.
Tarik, I think that's so important in terms of the education here, because so many folks, and I'll speak for myself, growing up in California, my parents didn't go to college, so I didn't know about HBCUs until my senior year of high school. And once you learn about HBCUs and you learn about the tradition, who came before you, all sorts of things is so critically important. So for guys like McCord Maker to make this decision to go to Howard, I think more than anything when we talk about athletics, and it's that he is educating folks to take a look at HBCUs and their history, who has been there, not just athletically, but in every way possible. We look at Howard University with Thurgood Marshall, the first black Supreme Court justice in this country's history. And I could go down the list of all the alums there. But I just think that's what's so critically important here, is that people are taking a look at these colleges and universities and understanding what the history is of them, the greatness in them, and why it's such a valuable place if they decide to go there.
All great points, but Tarik, let's go back to recruiting ships, right? If you have a kid, a 4- or 5-star athlete who goes to Alabama and just sees the weight room alone, which is bigger than most NFL weight rooms, and then goes to an NCAA or a Grambling, and the weight room might be smaller than the one they had in high school. I mean, how much is the deck stacked against some of these HBCUs when it comes to facilities and things like that? And then how much do you think people like yourself and Darius have to do to convince people, look beyond that, because you may become richer as a whole instead of just a football player to come through a football factory like an SEC program?
Yeah, the odds are definitely stacked against HBCUs. The facilities are crazy at PWIs and the bigger schools. But I just look at it like this. I tell the kids all the time, like, it's not 100% success rate at PWIs. Like, everybody that goes to a PWI doesn't make it to the NFL. And even if they do get in the league, you know, it's not guaranteed to stay there. So like Darius was saying earlier, if you can ball, you can ball. Like it doesn't matter where you at. So, you know, I just try to carry on that message. And then at the end of the day, it's going to come down to, you know, what the athlete wants to do and what type of person he is. If he's not to say like a follower, but, you know, like Darius said, going to a PWI is going to be definitely an easier route to take. Going to an HBCU definitely was a harder road, but it definitely made me the man I am today.
Yeah, man. And, you know, going back on facilities and stuff, man, you gotta look past that, especially like when you say the weight room. No matter how big your weight room, how big your field is, or whatever, it's what you put in it is what you're gonna get out of it, and that's what kids got to understand. No matter, I don't care how many offers that you have. You can have over 100 offers. You got to take one offer, and you got to be a dog, and you got to put 110% in at any facility, any college institution. So at a HBCU, and I feel like, you know, high schools don't teach the kids enough about HBCUs because I never really knew about South Carolina State. I knew everything about Clemson, South Carolina, or them schools, but I feel like it's coming to the high school to teach the kids that there's more schools besides that, and well, especially in the state of South Carolina. And once you go there, like I said, the question was if you have a son, 5-star, 4-star recruit. Me, you know, I'm gonna teach him the tradition of an HBCU, but as a father, you know, you got to let that child grow up and make his own decision, and I'm gonna make sure that I stand behind him or her 110% and just let them know no matter where you go, you're gonna have to be a dog and you can't be a follower, and you got to be a leader no matter what.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's so important in what Tarik and Darius are saying is that HBCUs teach you to not just be football players, but to be men and to prepare you for life beyond even just football. And I think that's what's so valuable here, and that's what gets lost sometimes when the message doesn't get out and when people don't do their homework. So for me, I think it's just so valuable that, yes, you can go there. You can be a dog. The NFL will find you regardless of where you're at. But what that university is also doing is preparing you to be successful beyond football, to be successful in life, and to understand what it means to be a black man in America today. So there are so many lessons beyond just athletics if you were to attend an HBCU.
And for those who don't know, a PWI, predominantly white institution.